Should you let your equipment take a rest? That's a good question, one we haven't been asked before. Hugo in Sweden wants to know, and he says, hey, good day, Paul. I wonder if it's good to turn off the amplifier or unplug the amp overnight, or sometimes even the weekend, just to give it a good rest so that on Monday, when I turn it on, I'll get a good clear sound. Okay, the short answer to that, Hugo, is no. No, electronics they're not muscles. They don't require a rest. They operate best when they're on all the time. Now, having said that, there are certainly some exceptions to that rule, and those exceptions would be like vacuum tubes. So I'm just assuming you have a solid state piece of gear here. But a vacuum tube, now there's something you don't want to leave on all the time. Vacuum tubes degrade with use, where semiconductors and capacitors and things, they do the same, but over such a longer period of time, it's almost not worth worrying about, okay? And the benefits of keeping it on outweigh the benefits of keeping it off. But in any case, they're not resting. So think of it more like a light bulb. A light bulb has, X number of hours that it can run. Now you turn it on or off all the time, and that just is breaking up this period of time into shorter segments, but at the end of the day, you only get this much, right? And in fact, apropos to a light bulb, every time, like an incandescent light, every time you turn one of those on, it's stressing the filament out. And the more times you turn a light bulb on or off quickly, the greater opportunity there is for failure. In fact, if you think about it, we've all had this happen. You flick the light switch on, it goes poof. That's because it's stressing the filament out. If that filament is weak, you're going to blow it, right? So my advice has always been keep the equipment on, except in the case of vacuum tubes. Vacuum tubes have filaments that heat up and boil off electrons, which are then pulled up towards the plate. And over time, the materials that these filaments are coated with can degrade with use, and that's how the transconductance or the gain of the tube starts going down. Also, of course, the envelope, the glass envelope, which is there to keep a vacuum inside of the tube, that will start to degrade as well because, well, nothing's perfect. So, for example, in our own equipment, the BHK series, we have vacuum tubes on the inputs, and then we have MOSFETs on the outputs, which is a perfect combination using the best of both worlds, vacuum tubes and solid state devices, put in the place where you want them, vacuum tubes on the input and solid state on the output. Perfect solution. But that said, you want to keep the solid state on as much as you can and warmed up, and you want the vacuum tube to be on only when you want to listen to it and enough time to warm up, right? So like we put a standby button on the front of our products, the little PS logo. When you push that on a BHK product with a tube inside of it, the vacuum tube turns on, but the solid state has always been on and has stayed on the whole time. So on or off in the standby period, you're just turning the vacuum tube on and off in the front panel lights. Same with our other products that we make that are all solid state. Now, that standby button, all it really does, it turns the front panel off and turns the outputs off. But the circuit itself, it stays on. So rather than resting, I would rather see you keep your products and your equipment on as long as you can, because there isn't any real value in resting, because products like light bulbs, electronics, they don't need a rest. They're not muscles. So no, you don't need to do that. I wouldn't encourage that, again, unless it's a vacuum tube or some kind of mechanical item, a turntable. Obviously, you don't want to keep the platter spinning all the time, right? But for solid state electronics, nope. Keep them on, keep them warm, and and just enjoy the heck out of them when you can, so that when you turn those things on, they are ready to go. All right. Hey, thank you for the question, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.